Hello, my name is Kevin Patton and I'm a therapist in Hackney. We may not have caused our problems, but we do have a responsibility to change things for the better. No one else can do it for us. We can improve our mood by engaging in some activities that we find enjoyable and by taking care of responsibilities we may be neglecting. I'm Batman. This is the second session in the program. We'll begin the session in a few minutes. But first, we're going to spend some time coming into the room and getting ready to work. I'd like you to settle into a comfortable sitting position, either on a straight-backed chair or on a soft surface on the floor, with your buttocks supported by cushions or in a low stool. If you use a chair, it's going to be very helpful to sit away from the back of the chair so that your spine is self-supporting. If you sit on the floor, it's helpful if your knees actually touch the floor. Experiment with the height of the cushions or stool until you feel comfortably and firmly supported. Allow your back to adopt an erect, dignified, and comfortable posture. If sitting on a chair, place your feet flat on the floor with your legs uncrossed. Gently close your eyes. It may help to imagine a light thread attached to the back of your scalp, pulling your head gently upwards and allowing your spine to lengthen. Bring your awareness to the level of physical sensations by focusing your attention on the sensations of touch and pressure in your body where it makes contact with the floor and whatever you're sitting on. Spend a bit of time exploring these sensations. Now, bring your awareness to the changing patterns of physical sensations in the lower abdomen as the breath moves in and out of your body. When you first try this practice, it may be helpful to place your hand on your lower abdomen and become aware of the changing pattern of sensations where your hand makes contact with your abdomen. Having tuned in to these physical sensations in that area, you can remove your hand and continue to focus on the sensations in the abdominal wall. Focus your sensations on the slight stretching as the abdominal wall rises with each in-breath and of a gentle deflation as it falls with each out-breath. As best you can, follow your awareness of the changing physical sensations in the lower abdomen all the way through as the breath enters your body on the in-breath and all the way through as the breath leaves your body on the out-breath. Perhaps noticing the slight pauses between one in-breath and the following out breath. And between one out breath and the following in breath. There's no need to try and control the breathing in any way. Simply let the breath breathe itself. As best you can, also bring this attitude of allowing to the rest of your experience. There's nothing to be fixed. There's no particular state to be achieved. As best you can, simply allow your experience to be your experience, without needing it to be other than it is. Sooner or later, and usually sooner, your mind will wander away from the focus on the breath in the lower abdomen to thoughts, planning, daydreams, drifting along, whatever. This is perfectly okay. It's simply what minds do. It's not a mistake or a failure. When you notice that your awareness is no longer on the breath, gently congratulate yourself. You've come back and you're once more aware of your experience. You may want to acknowledge briefly where the mind has been. There's thinking about my lunch. Then gently escort your awareness back to a focus on the changing pattern of physical sensations in the lower abdomen. Renewing your attention to pay attention to the ongoing in-breath or out-breath, whichever you find. However often you notice that the mind has wandered, and this will happen over and over and over again, as best you can, congratulate yourself each time on reconnecting with your experience in the moment, gently escorting attention back to the breath, and simply resume following in awareness the changing pattern of physical sensations that come with each in-breath and out-breath. Best you can, bring a quality of kindliness to your awareness, perhaps seeing the repeated wanderings of the mind as opportunities to bring patience and gentle curiosity to your experience. Remind yourself from time to time that the intention is simply to be aware of your experience in each moment, as best you can, using the breath as an anchor to gently reconnect with the here and now each time that you notice your mind has wandered and is no longer down in the abdomen following the breath. You may wish to focus your concentration by counting your breaths. On the out breath, say 1 quietly to yourself. Then 2. Next out. When you reach 4, start at the beginning again. Saying 1, 2, 3, 4 on the out breaths. Now, on the next out breath, come back into the room. Open your eyes, stretch a bit, look around you. The last workshop was about beginning to notice your helpful and unhelpful thoughts and behaviors when making a change, and some techniques to help you come back to equilibrium and decide how to move forward. This video picks up from there. We're going to be looking at workable and unworkable things. Thousands of thoughts pass through our head every day. Thoughts are like sentences, or little films that we tell ourselves or show ourselves. Some are factual, such as today is Wednesday. Others may be more workable or unworkable because of how they make us act. We often don't pay attention to all these thoughts. But with practice, you can learn to notice your thoughts and decide whether they're working for you or not. That's what that exercise with the breath was all about. It wasn't about not having intrusive thoughts. It was about catching them every time and then coming back to the exercise. Just separating yourself on the thought. Keeping it real, we talk about workable and unworkable thoughts. These terms are just shortcuts. When I talk about thoughts, it's just a short way of saying thoughts, feelings, and bodily sensations. Their power lies in how they affect our actions. Look at these cartoons. What do you think's happening in the pictures? What do you think the person might be thinking? An example might be, I hate the rain, get all wet, probably catch a cold. I hate this, can't stand it. What do you think he's thinking in this cartoon? This one sort of reminds me of Gene Kelly and Singing in the Rain. Yeah, it's raining. And then going off to do what he needs to do. The person in the cartoon can't control what's real. It is raining. But he can change his relationship to the rain. And that can free him up to do what matters. On the other hand, keeping it real doesn't mean seeing the world through rose-tinted glasses. It's about taking time to notice your thoughts, identifying your harmful thinking habits, and then refocus on activities that might make your life a bit better. It's important to remember that everyone has both helpful and harmful thoughts. This is normal. You're in no way bad if you've got harmful thoughts. The most important thing is how you manage to let your harmful thoughts be and refocus on being the person you want to be, living life as you want to live it. So we're going to take a closer look at your behavior and try and bring some attention to the things that bring your mood down. We call these things unworkable. Can you remember a time in the last week when you felt down? Take a moment, close your eyes, picture yourself in a situation where you felt down. Now, with your eyes closed, try to remember what you were thinking and doing at the time. Open your eyes. What thoughts did you notice? It takes practice, but you can learn to notice your thoughts. And you can examine them, asking yourself this question: how do you feel when you think this or do this? And what would move you closer to being the person you want to be, living the life you want to live? Okay, so we've identified things we do that move us away from the person we want to be, living life as we want to live it. We call these things fear. F, there's fusion, stuff that your mind tells you that gets in the way when you get caught up in it. The E is excessive goals, making your goals too big or beyond your ability to achieve them. Avoidance of discomfort, not being willing to put up with some of the discomfort that this experience is bringing you. Getting caught up in fighting, trying to push your feelings away or to the side, and you get so caught up in doing that you lose sight of who you are and what matters. The R is remoteness from your values, losing touch of what's important or meaningful in this situation. Losing touch with who you are and what you stand for. In the first workshop, we talked about how when we find something that helps us feel better than a difficult sensation, we can become sensitized to all the other things that can trigger the same feeling. And what started out as a useful way of coming back to ourselves becomes a crutch that we rely on and feel anxious about and we can't use it. So, what feelings, memories, sensations would you like to get rid of? And what have you tried, deliberately or unintentionally, when painful thoughts and feelings start showing up? Distracting yourself, opting out, worrying, dwelling in the past, fantasizing about the future, imagining escape scenarios like leaving your job or leaving your partner, imagining revenge scenarios, I gotta pay, imagining suicide scenarios, thinking it's not fair, or if only, blaming yourself, blaming other people, blaming the world, talking logically to yourself, talking positively to yourself, talking negatively to yourself, analyzing yourself, trying to figure out why you're like this, analyzing the situation, trying to figure out how all this happened, analyzing other people, trying to figure out why they're like this, using drugs, alcohol, gambling, sex, whatever it takes, just to feel better. What did this cost you in terms of time, energy, money, health, relationships, just the joy in life? Did it work? Did you do these things? Did you have a drink and no more problems ever? They're all gone away, never to come back. Or did you throw yourself into a game of football and that's your life sorted, never another tear? And did any of those things bring you closer to a rich, full, and meaningful life? Did you go and have that one night stand and now you're living the dream? In keeping it real, our aim is not to feel better. It's not to get rid of unwanted thoughts or sensations. Our aim is to reduce the influence of these things upon what we do, to help us show up in our own lives and start doing stuff that really matters. So down here we have some stuff that's going on inside our heads, catastrophizing. Oh, it's all over. My life's finished. Predicting the worst. It's never going to work. Just going to be back where I started. Or worrying about paying your bills, losing your home, or losing your marriage, or your kids growing up to be axe murderers, whatever. The stuff comes. Your mind's probably a lot like mine. Stuff comes 20, 30, 40, 50 times a day. And then we've got a choice. We can allow it to hook us in, get involved with all that fusion. I'm thinking it must be true. This is my life. This is reality. This is how it is. Trying to avoid the sensations and feelings that come up, trying to lose yourself in something, literally lose yourself. You could be setting your goals so big you can't possibly achieve them, and just then experiencing that you're powerless and that nothing will ever change. You can lose track of who you are and what you stand for. And these things, we call them away moves. They tend to take us away from the life we want to be living and what matters to us. Or we can unhook ourselves from this stuff. And the antidote to the fear stuff is diffusion. Just stepping back. Stuff. You are not your thoughts. You are not your feelings. You are not that tightness in your stomach. You're not that pain in your legs. Your head. The person who's aware of all this stuff happening to you. It can just open up to what's going on, inside you. Dropping the struggle so that you can work out what it is that you need to do in order to show up as the person you really are and start looking after what matters to you. You do these things, tends to move you towards living life as you want to live it. We call these things DARE, the DARE skill set, and we're going to look at each of these skills in a little bit more detail now. I'm going to start with a diffusion exercise called Leaves on the Stream. Allow you to sit comfortably, position you find easy for you. And either close your eyes or rest them gently on a fixed spot in the room. Visualize yourself sitting beside a gently flowing stream, leaves floating along the surface of the water. Visualize yourself taking each thought that enters your mind and placing it on the leaf, letting it float by. Do this with each thought, pleasurable, painful, neutral. If you have joyous or enthusiastic thoughts, Place them on a leaf and let them float by. If the thoughts momentarily stop, continue to watch the stream. Sooner or later, the thoughts will start up again. Allow the stream to flow at its own pace. Don't try to speed it up and rush your thoughts along. You're not trying to rush the leaves along or get rid of your thoughts. Allowing them to come and go at their own pace. If your mind says, this is dumb, I'm bored, I'm not doing this right, place those thoughts and leaves too, and let them pass. The leaf gets stuck, so allow it to hang around until it's ready to float back. If the thought comes up again, watch it float by another time. If a difficult or painful feeling arises, simply acknowledge it. Say to yourself, I notice myself having a feeling of boredom, impatience, frustration, or whatever. Place those thoughts on leaves and let them float along. From time to time, your thoughts may hook you and distract you from being fully present in the exercise. This is normal. As soon as you realize that you've become sidetracked, gently bring your attention back to the stream and the leaves and watch them float by. When you're ready, open your eyes, get a deep breath, a stretch, back in the room, and we're going to move on and look at our next exercise. Before takeoff, pilots have to file a flight plan with air traffic control, explaining where they're going to go. For example, I'll take off at 1300, I will climb to 13,000 feet on a bearing of 42 degrees at a speed of 300 miles an hour. I will maintain that heading for 7 minutes, then climb to 15,000 feet on a bearing of 50 degrees at a speed of 400 miles an hour, and so on. That way, other planes know to stay out of that bit of sky. Now, the thing is, 90% of the time, the plane isn't on the flight plan. It might be off by 50 feet or so. It might be off course by a degree or two. It might be going 20 miles an hour too fast or too slow because of wind or whatever. But most of the time, it still gets to its destination. Why is that? The pilot makes course corrections along the way. How does the pilot do that? It isn't like there's any landmarks in the sky, a big sign saying, Tokyo, this way. That's right, the pilot pays attention to the instruments on the plane. Might be alarms sounding if the plane is flying too low, or a flashing light that says that an engine's running too hot, or a beep that's saying, look at the compass heading. This is like our emotions. Our emotions, our feelings, our internal sensations are our indicators. They tell us when we need to make a change. Thank your mind for the alarm call. Our negative emotions and our alarm call providing us with the opportunity to get things back on course. We are not those feelings. We are the person aware that we're having those feelings. And it has the opportunity to change something. The next skill we're going to look at is acceptance. Now, this is short for acceptance of our internal experiences. It's not about passively accepting things like racism, abuse, poverty, stuff that happens to you in your life. It is about opening up to how we think and feel about what happens in our lives. Instead of getting caught up in a struggle with trying to push them all away and losing all that time and energy. A classic acceptance exercise is the mountain meditation. Now, this meditation is usually done in a sitting position, either on the floor or on a chair, and begins by sensing into the support that you have from the chair or the cushion, paying attention to the actual sensations of contact, finding a position of stability and poise, upper body balanced over your hips and shoulders in a comfortable but alert posture. Hands on your lap or on your knees, arms hanging by their own weight like heavy curtains, stable and relaxed. Actually sensing into your body, feeling your feet, your legs, your hips, your lower and upper body, arms, shoulders, neck, head. And when you're ready, allowing your eyes to close, bringing in your awareness to the breath, the actual physical sensations. Feeling each breath as it comes in and goes out. Letting the breath be just as it is, without trying to change or regulate it in any way. Allowing it to flow easily and naturally, its own rhythm and pace, knowing that you are breathing perfectly well right now. Nothing for you to do. Allowing the body to be still and sitting with a sense of dignity, a sense of resolve, a sense of being complete, whole in this very moment, with your posture reflecting this sense of wholeness. As you sit here, letting an image form in your mind's eye, the most magnificent, beautiful mountain you know or have seen or can imagine. Letting it gradually come into greater focus. And even if it doesn't come to a visual image, allowing the sense of this mountain and feeling its overall shape, its lofty peak or peaks, high in the sky, a large base rooted in the bedrock of the Earth's crust, its steep or gently sloping sides. Notice how massive it is, how solid, how unmoving, how beautiful. whether from afar or up close. Perhaps your mountain has snow blanketing its top and trees reaching down to the base. Or maybe it has rugged granite sides. There might be streams and waterfalls cascading down the slopes. There may be one peak or a series of peaks, or with meadows and high lakes. Observing it, noticing its qualities, and when you feel ready, seeing if you can bring the mountain into your own body, sitting here so that your body and the mountain in your mind's eye become one. So that as you sit here, you share in the massiveness, the stillness, and the majesty of the mountain. You become the mountain, grounded in the sitting posture. Your head becomes a lofty peak, supported by the rest of the body and affording a panoramic view. Your shoulders and arms are the sides of the mountain. Your buttocks and legs, its solid base, rooted to your cushion or your chair. Experiencing in your body a sense of uplift from deep within your pelvis and spine. With each breath, you continue sitting, becoming a little more a breathing mountain, alive and vital, yet unwavering in your inner stillness. Completely what you are, beyond words and thought, a centered, grounded, unmoving presence. As you sit there, becoming aware of the fact that as the sun travels across the sky, the light and shadows and colors are changing virtually moment by moment in the mountain stillness. And the surface teems with life and activity, streams, melting snow, waterfalls, plants, and wildlife. As the mountain sits, seeing and feeling how night follows day, and day follows night, the bright morning sun, followed by the cool night sky studded with stars, and the gradual dawning of a new day. Through it all, the mountain just sits, experiencing change in every moment, constantly changing, yet always just being itself. It remains still as the seasons flow into one another, as the weather changes moment by moment, day by day, calmness abiding all change. In summer there is no snow on the mountain, except perhaps at the very peaks or in crags shielded from direct sunlight. In the autumn, the mountain may wear a coat of brilliant fire colours. In winter, blankets of snow and ice. In any season, it may find itself at times enshrouded in clouds or fog or pelted by freezing rain. People may come to see the mountain and comment on how beautiful it is, or how it's not a good day to see the mountain, but it's too cloudy, or rainy, or foggy, or dark. None of this matters to the mountain, which remains at all times its essential self. Clouds may come, clouds may go, tourists may like it or not. The mountain's magnificence and beauty are not to be changed one bit by whether people see it or not. Seen or unseen, in sun or in clouds, boiling or frigid, day or night, it just sits, being itself, at times visited by violent storms, buffeted by snow and rain and winds of unthinkable magnitude. Through it all, the mountain sits. Spring comes, trees leaf out, flowers bloom into the high meadows and slopes. Birds sing in the trees once again, streams overflow with waters of melting snow. Through it all, the mountain continues to sit, unmoved by weather, by what happens on its surface, by the world of appearances, remaining its essential self through the seasons, the changing weather, the activity ebbing and flowing on its surface. In the same way as we sit in meditation, we can learn to experience the mountain and embody the same central, unwavering stillness and groundedness in the face of everything that changes in our own lives, over seconds, over hours, over years. In our lives and in our meditation practice, we experience constantly the changing nature of mind and body and of the outer world. We have our own periods of light and darkness, activity, inactivity, our moments of colour, our moments of drabness. It's true that we experience storms of varying intensity and violence in ourselves, in our minds, and our outer world. We're buffeted by high winds, by cold, by rain. We endure periods of darkness and pain, as well as moments of joy and uplift. Even our appearance changes constantly, experiencing a weather of its own. By becoming the mountain in our meditation practice, we can link up to its strength and stability and adopt them for our own. We can use its energies to support our energy to encounter each moment with wakefulness and equanimity and clarity. It may help us to see that our thoughts, our feelings, our preoccupations, our emotional storms and crises, even the things that happen to us, are very much like the weather on the mountain. We tend to take it all personally, but its strongest characteristic is impersonal. The weather of our own lives is not to be ignored or denied, it's to be encountered, honoured, felt, known for what it is, and held in awareness. And in holding it this way, we can come to know a deeper silence and stillness and wisdom. Mountains have this to teach us and much more if we let it. So if you find that you resonate in some way with the strength and stability of the mountain when you're sitting, it may be helpful to use it from time to time in your meditation practice to remind you of what it means to sit mindfully with resolve and wakefulness and true stillness. So, in the time that remains, continuing to sustain the mountain meditation on your own, in silence, moment by moment, until you hear the sound of the bell. Eyes. Stretch. We've been sitting in the thumb position for quite a long time. Just come back into the room. Breath. Move your arms and feet a little bit. Now we're going to look at the next skill, which is realistic goal setting. If you lack the skills, you might want to set new goals around learning them. If your goal is too big, break it down into small chunks. If you lack resources, brainstorm to see how you can get them. If you lack time, consider what you're willing to give up in order to make the time. If the goal is truly impossible, maybe because of your health or financial issues or some external barriers over which you've got no direct influence, then look at what this goal is in service of. What is it that you're trying to bring into your life? What quality of living is it that you're trying to come by here? And see if there's another way of getting there. Like all of the skills that we have looked at so far, the diffusion, the acceptance, setting realistic goals, is going to have a video dedicated to itself. But this is sort of the overview. Embracing values. Connect with what matters to you about this goal. What is it that makes it meaningful? Is it aligned with the person you want to be and life as you want to be living it? Is it truly important? Is it helping you show up and work towards what you stand for? Actually, this really comes before the goal setting. You need your direction of travel. Setting the goals is about how you get there. As with embracing values and the other skills we talked about in today's session, values is going to have a video dedicated entirely to that topic. So how might you do this stuff to help you move towards the life as you want to live it? When we allow ourselves to get caught up in trying to fight our feelings and push them away and damp them down or make ourselves feel better, we're losing ourselves and losing track of life as we want to be living it. We make things worse by allowing our thoughts to hook us in, moving us away from doing the things that bring joy and meaning to our lives. We make lives better by unhooking ourselves from the thoughts that suck the joy from our lives and make us feel powerless, remembering who we are and what we stand for, and doing stuff that we enjoy, as well as taking care of business. We're moving towards that life that we want to be living. The skills we use to do this: diffusion, just noticing There's a difference between what's going on inside us and who we are. We are the people aware that we're having these experiences. Opening up, allowing ourselves to show up for whatever's there, owning that this is how we feel, then deciding what we're going to do to start bringing the life that we want to be living the way we want it into existence. Remember, you do you. And if you can't do that, do that, man. This is my email and my phone number. Please feel free to contact me if you have any thoughts or questions about any of the things we've discussed. Thanks a lot for watching.